When I was in 10th grade, everything about school felt ordinary until the day a new English teacher walked into our classroom. His name was Mr. Adrian Blake. He was young, perhaps 24, with neatly styled dark brown hair and kind, intelligent eyes the color of roasted chestnuts. There was something magnetic about his presence, not just because he was handsome, but because he listened when others spoke, smiled sincerely, and carried himself with quiet confidence. It didn't take long for him to become the center of attention at the school. All the girls, including me, found reasons to walk past room 207 just to catch a glimpse of him. Even the younger teachers seemed smitten, trying to start conversations in the teacher's lounge. But Mr. Blake remained focused and professional, always choosing his words carefully, never letting attention distract him from his work. My name is Eliza Hart. Back then, I was a quiet girl with a love for books and a fear of speaking in front of others. While my classmates cracked jokes and flirted playfully with Mr. Blake, I kept to myself, too shy to even say a word beyond answering roll call. But deep inside, a storm brewed, a silent admiration I couldn't contain. I never missed a single class of his. I sat in the front row, my eyes glued to the board, my notes meticulous. I wore my favorite dresses on days I had his class, hoping he might notice. Sometimes I thought he did. When he looked at me and said, "Well done, Eliza," my heart soared. And yet he was always so kind, so encouraging that I wondered if he spoke the same way to everyone. Maybe it was just who he was. Still, every time he called on me to read or answer a question, my pulse raced. My voice trembled, but I never let it stop me. I wanted to make him proud. That year, he became my secret world. At night, I would imagine what he did after class, if he liked the same books I did, if he noticed the nervous way I tucked my hair behind my ear when he spoke to me. I was only 16, but to me, he was everything. My mentor, my guide, and my first unspoken love. One afternoon, I was walking home from the library when I saw him, Mr. Blake, outside a small white house just 2 blocks from mine. He lived nearby. After that, I started walking that way on purpose, just to catch a glimpse. Sometimes I did. He would wave and smile, and I would blush so hard I could barely respond. But I knew the line. I never crossed it. I never said how I felt. I just let my feelings stay in the quiet places of my heart. Then came the news that shattered me. Mr. Blake was leaving. He had accepted a position at a prestigious school in another city. I remember the announcement so clearly. It was raining that morning. I stared out the window as the drops slid down the glass, feeling like the world was falling apart. His last day, he smiled and shook hands with the other teachers. I stood at a distance, watching him walk out of the school gates, never once looking back. I thought I would never see him again. A year passed. I focused on preparing for my university entrance exams, burying myself in books. To improve my English, I enrolled in an advanced language program in the city. The first day of class, I walked into the room and froze. There he was, Mr. Blake. He looked surprised too, but happy. "Welcome back, Eliza," he said warmly. Something in me ignited again. Hope, wonder, maybe something deeper. I smiled. "It's good to see you, sir." For 6 months, I attended his classes like a dream. I was older now, more confident, less shy. We talked after class, sometimes about books, sometimes about our goals. He asked about my future, and I asked about his work and travels. Slowly, something shifted between us. There were no school walls now. No uniforms. Just 2 people meeting again by chance. One afternoon, after a late class, it started to rain. I forgot my umbrella, and Mr. Blake offered to walk me home. We laughed as we got soaked, and I felt like I was living inside a movie. After that, we began walking together more often. To my surprise and joy, he started texting me. Friendly messages at first, then longer conversations. Then one night, he said something I hadn't expected. "I'm glad we met again, Eliza. You've grown into an extraordinary young woman." My heart beat wildly. I didn't reply immediately, but he reached for my hand, and I didn't pull away. Our relationship bloomed like spring after a long winter. We started spending weekends at the park, watching indie films at a small theater, talking about literature and life. I knew how it might look to others, but to me, it felt right. I was 18 now, and Mr. Blake, Adrian, as I now called him, was not my teacher anymore. Our first kiss happened under the old maple tree near the riverbank, the air thick with the scent of pine and promise. It was everything I imagined and more. He told me I made him feel alive again. I told him he made me feel seen. But life, as always, has a way of testing what we cherish. One evening, as we watched the sunset from a bench, Adrian turned to me with a strange look in his eyes. "I've been offered a teaching position abroad. In the United States." I didn't speak. I couldn't. "It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity," he said softly. "But I don't want to lose you." Neither did I. But I also knew I couldn't stop him. We promised to stay in touch. Letters, emails, video calls, whatever it took. For the first few months, we wrote often. His letters were filled with stories about his students, the American culture, the snowy winters. I replied with news about university, my part-time job, the books I was reading. But slowly, things began to fade. The messages became shorter. The time between them grew longer. I knew he was busy, and so was I. But I felt him slipping away. One day, I received a message. "I miss you, Eliza. But maybe this is life showing us new paths." That was the last I heard from him. 8 years passed. I graduated, became a language coach, and built a quiet, content life. My memories of Adrian stayed tucked away in a corner of my heart, soft, distant, almost like a dream. Then one day, while browsing a professional networking site, I saw his name. Adrian Blake. My fingers trembled as I sent him a message. "Hello, Mr. Blake," or should I say, Adrian? He replied within hours. "Eliza." Wow. I didn't expect this. "Would you like to meet?" We agreed on a cozy cafe in the city. That day, I wore a navy blue coat, the one he once said made my eyes shine. My heart raced as I walked in. He was already there. Adrian looked different. His once dark hair had streaks of silver. He had gained some weight, and his eyes, those warm, kind eyes, seemed tired. But when he smiled, it was like no time had passed. "Eliza," he said, standing to hug me, "you look amazing." We talked for hours. About life, careers, his travels, my work. We laughed, reminisced about old times. But something was missing. The spark, the connection, it wasn't the same. He was not the man I had once loved so deeply. Or maybe I was no longer the girl who had waited for his letters. As I rode the bus home that evening, I looked out the window and felt a strange sense of peace. Not sadness. Not regret. Just peace. Later that night, I opened an old box in my closet. It had letters from Adrian, photos from school, and a few torn notebook pages with poems I had written about him. I smiled through the tears. He had been my first love. The person who made me feel visible when I felt invisible. The one who taught me to believe in myself. But we had both changed. Grown. The next morning, he messaged, "It was truly good to see you. I hope we can stay friends." I replied, "Thank you, Adrian. I wish you all the happiness in the world." We exchanged a few more pleasantries. Then silence. I didn't feel heartbroken. I felt free. 1 week later, I was walking through the park near my house. It began to rain. I looked up at the gray sky and laughed softly. I didn't run for cover. I let the rain fall on my face. It reminded me of that day, long ago, when Adrian walked me home in a downpour. How full my heart had been. And now, even fuller still, but with different dreams, different hopes. Life, I thought, is like rain. Sometimes it brings storms. Sometimes it soaks you in sadness. But it also waters the soil of your soul, helping new flowers bloom. Mr. Adrian Blake was part of my story, but he was not the ending. And for that, I will always be grateful.